2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Glenelg or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
Take a sip of your coffee. Settle into your seats.
Makes me feel so good.
Jody and Hayesy, Adelaide's favourite way to wake up.
I'm right here where I want to be. There ain't nobody stopping me.
Good morning, Monday morning. Jody and Hayesy fresh off Cyril live in the Red Room on Friday night and didn't live up to all the expectations that we had of our boy Cyril.
No, it certainly did. I mean, he really sets the standard high, doesn't he?
Yes, he
And
certainly
he
does.
delivered on Friday night. So everybody who went along, well done. Good stuff getting yourself some exclusive invites. Jodes, what about Crows and Port supporters? Woo! That's what you like to see on a Monday morning, just charging here off the back of 2 really big wins.
Big wins. Haven't we seen some big victories in the AFL in the first couple of rounds?
Yeah, no, it's meant to blowouts, isn't it?
It's really hard not to get super excited about the Crows because they look the goods in the first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a case of we are very good or the opposition has been subpar?
No, I think the Crows are really good.
Yeah, right.
Like, I think they're right up there. So, I think the big question mark is Essendon that bad? And if so, then Port Adelaide supporters are licking your lips for Thursday night.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's rock into Thursday night footy. Don't you love Thursday night footy?
Just
Weekend comes early, guys.
Makes the weekend come nice and early.
Yeah.
A big show coming up for grabs before 7 o'clock. Looking forward to this. Novus Red Room Global Tour, all powered by Expedia. Imagine the ultimate international music tour. You could be on there. Just on us via Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel. That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the lineup for this thing is absolutely ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah, you got Post Malone, Jelly Roll, Gracie Abrams, Dean Lewis, all internationally. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Monday morning joke off is just around the corner. That's how we like to kick things off on a Monday, if you don't mind.
Yeah, producer Molly, very, very ordinary in this space, so let's see if she can lift her game.
Do you think, would this be the 4th instalment from producer Molly? You keeping tabs? 4th, maybe 5th?
Yeah, something like that.
Let's say you've had 4 cracks. You're 0 from 4, Molly.
Are you kidding? My first one was good.
Oh, it's
You all laughed.
Yeah, it's
Well,
polite.
we were trying to
This was your first one.
trying to encourage you.
So you reckon today's is sort of do or die?
It could
think
be
so.
Could be make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Are you saying that we could be culling producer Molly from the joke?
Oh, no. I wasn't saying that, but I was thinking it.
At least you're saying it to my face.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, that's coming up after 7 o'clock. But let's just reflect on what was a really, really fun Friday night thanks to Cyril and Novus Red Room. What a guy. What a crowd.
Wasn't he fun?
Here's a big old Cyril remix for you on a Monday morning. Good morning. On Friday night via Novus Red Room, and Gluttony went off its absolute face.
Yeah, it was unreal. And if you were wondering what it's like backstage with Cyril, it's just a caravan, just a little caravan. But he did have a rider. There are a few different things on his rider, primarily 2 big bottles of Grey Goose.
Yeah.
And what was that shot thing that he was pouring?
Oh, I don't know. It was some
like
sort of fancy tequila as
some
well.
sort of 1952 tequila or something.
10 protein bars.
10 protein bars just to counteract the tequila. But he put up an interesting post on the weekend. He said, today I'm finally taking everything that's happened this year in. It's been incredible. From 6 years ago, with a drug addiction, kicked out of my rental, not being able to afford a $1 hamburger, to having a family, traveling the world, buying my dream ute and making music for a living. I really love working hard and doing what I do, and I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have your support. So thank you so much, and here's to 2025.
Yes, Cyril. Really nice to say as well that when you meet someone like that, and he was a lovely guy, a genuine lovely guy, as was his entourage. He had a few mates and managers and stuff there. Just a really, really good crew. So you see blokes like that going, well, he's absolutely killing it, and it's someone who really, really appreciates each and every opportunity that he gets.
Yeah, and if you're worried if Cyril was staying at the Best Western near the airport, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it at all.
Because when he finished his set on Friday night, he was retiring to the penthouse at EOS.
He was like, where are you staying? He's like, It's a place in the city. It's like
Skylines.
I'm like EOS. And he goes, yeah, that's the one. I'm like, oh my god,
man.
bloody da.
And your little eyes were lighting up, just waiting for an invitation to go back and party with Cyril at his penthouse.
What are you going to do back at your hotel? He's like, I don't know, probably go to sleep. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay, have a good night. Have a good one.
All good.
Oh, congratulations and thank you for everyone who turned out as well. It was such a good crew.
Yeah, an amazing crowd.
Stuff.
Thank you, everyone who supported the Red Room. Let's do it all again. I want to do it all again.
Yes, this week. No, that's
not
too
this
short.
week.
That's too short.
No.
We'll cook something else happening in the scenes.
Warning, the following segment is for mature audiences only and may contain adult content, graphic language and nudity. Not that you'll see it. If easily offended, well, you're about to find out just how easily.
Your father, he's on the naughty list.
Jody and Hayes's Naughty at 6:40.
Naughty.
This is a chance for us to get maybe just a little bit blue, maybe just a little bit risque, before things really sort of wholesome up after 7 jokes.
Yeah, and what has landed on my desk is something that I think is a great big fat old conspiracy from you blokes to make us women think that we need to have more sex.
What do you got? What do you got?
So apparently, according to a survey, if you want to live a happy and healthy life, experts say you need to have sex more often than you think.
Amen,
Because
sister.
it's apparently good both mentally and physically. Experts are advising people to have regular sex if they want to be happy. Refraining from sex for too long can actually cause depression and anxiety.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So what is this? Did you compile this study or did you get this from some sort of journal?
I certainly did not. This was in some sort of fancy journal. This is it's actually the Journal of Sexual Medicine.
Oh, very good.
Did you know that existed?
It's quite the journal. Tell you
Yes,
what.
isn't it?
She said a Christmas party. Crazy. Those guys know how to party. I'll give you that.
I just want to turn up to like the Adelaide Convention Centre and it's got Christmas party for the Journal of Sexual Medicine.
Everyone's naked. You're like, what's going on here? Oh, it's the sex journal, guys.
You put some clothes on.
Loose.
Okay, so this is the alarming part. It found that women aged between 20 and 59 who were getting frisky less than once a week had a much higher risk of early death.
See, that's what we're talking about.
This is the kind of bullshit that my husband's trying to sell to me. If you don't have sex with me, you're going to die.
For goodness sake, ladies, save yourselves. Do yourself a favour.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
That is a good joke.
Jody and Hayes's Monday morning joke off.
What a way to start the week. Just a little injection of humour. It's Jody Oddie, very funny, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Producer Molly, extremely funny. Not so much.
No.
Not so much. It's a work on for producer Molly.
It's a fun time of the week, unless your name is Molly Rose. And it always ends in tears. Okay, who wants to go first? Molly, let's get you out of the way.
Kick it off. Rip that
Okay.
Band-Aid off,
Okay.
producer Molly. One joke each. What do
I'm
you got?
excited.
All right.
What's the difference between the Carlton Football Club and mosquitoes?
What?
What?
Mosquitoes eventually stop sucking.
And just like that, she's back. She's back.
Oh, that was good.
And you can say that because you're a Carlton supporter.
That's why I said it.
So that makes sense.
Well done.
Very good. I'll go next, Joe. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
All right, here we go. The teacher asked the class to use the word harassment in a sentence after thinking for a long time, Little Johnny. And we all know about Little Johnny.
Everyone is very familiar with his work, yes.
What a character. And we're on edge when Little Johnny puts his hand up.
Yep.
He put his hand up and he said, well, I'm still sad that my girlfriend left me. Harassment a lot to me.
Harass, is that her name? Is that the girlfriend's name?
I was like,
Is that the girlfriend's name?
Harassment
All right.
a lot to me.
Oh.
Harassment a lot to me.
Oh!
Hang on, let me get this again. There you go, ladies.
There you
Got it?
what's her name? Horace.
That's what well, Johnny's girlfriend's name was Harass.
Bit of a different accent there as well.
Okay.
The key is listening, folks. You've really got to keep your ears out for the punchline.
Okay. A man comes home after a hard day's work and opens the refrigerator to get a soft drink. Inside, he sees a wombat taking a nap. What are you doing in my fridge? The man asks. And the wombat opens one sleepy eye and says, isn't this a Westinghouse? Yes, the man replies. Well then, the wombat says, shutting his eyes again, I'm trying to West.
Wombat's got issues with his W's and R's.
Yeah.
Classic.
And then the wombat said her name was Harass.
A couple of really, really good jokes there.
Jody and Hazy's Sealed Section with Tiff Warren from 10 News First.
Yes, we do this each and every week as well, Joe. And this is the Sealed Section featuring the lovely Tiff Moore.
This little ray of sunshine has just entered the building. Good morning.
There she is.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, you've got your envelope. Are you ready to open it?
Yeah, actually, Hazy, would you help me out?
Okay, I'm very good at this too, by
Yeah,
the
go
way.
on then.
Okay.
Loves opening an envelope. Oh, here we go. Ow!
I can't.
Prick myself.
Every week, too.
No.
I know.
It's every week.
These scars on these hands.
Okay.
What have we got, Tiff?
What you got?
This week, we're talking brides and grooms and this immense pressure for the groom to sort of shed a little tear.
Oh.
I recently attended my sister's wedding.
Yes.
You would be such a distraction at a wedding. by the way.
I tell you what, I did look beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't mean like that. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm sure you did. But I say more so the stuff in the background. You
Yeah,
just
I was.
singing along with the
I
violins.
was.
There
I
was
did.
ever if there was ever a bridesmaid that
stunning.
wanted to outshine the bride, hello.
Excuse me, Jones. It's not that I wanted to. It just happens. No. My sister looked gorgeous.
She did.
I looked gorgeous. And then her husband, my brother-in-law, Sean, at the top. And this is what happens. The bride comes out.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, enough of you, Sam. We want to see what Sean's doing. Is he crying?
Yeah.
And thankfully, he did. Because in this day and age, I feel there's a rhetoric that if your groom doesn't cry, he hates you.
Yeah.
Really?
He thinks you look ugly.
See, that's a lot of pressure.
I know.
That's a lot of pressure. So for blokes, I mean, so many different situations when you have to perform, there's expectations. That's when you don't perform.
Indeed,
It's got to be
Hazy.
organic. It's got
What's
to be
another
natural.
example, would you say?
I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. It has to be organic, Tiff.
It must.
This is where I would love to hear from brides and grooms here on 132410. Is there an expectation that if the groom doesn't cry, then he doesn't love you enough? That seems to be the chitter-chatter amongst the other women at the wedding.
I think it's a generational thing. I don't think back in the day, because we surveyed all the older fellas in the 10 News First newsroom,
did.
and all of them said, no, I didn't cry.
Yeah.
Why would I cry?
Really?
I'm happy. Why would I cry?
Yeah, they were almost like berating these younger blokes who do cry. They were like,
Yes.
what are they crying for?
But then is it a social media trend? Because now a lot of weddings get filmed and it's just become this thing where the groom cries. But
Yeah.
Jones, did Greggy cry when you came up the
Which
aisle?
Greggy? You're going to have to
Oh, my goodness.
Greggy the second.
Greggy, who's to say? I don't know. He was so hot and sweaty because we got married in Bali and he was wearing a suit. So I don't know if they were tears or if it was just sweat pouring down his cheeks.
Oh, I'd be
Who's to
sweating
say?
if I was marrying you too, mate.
That's the big question. And what were you crying about? Was it the fact that you guys were wearing thongs and you knew that you were going to regret that in years to come when you look back at the
I'm
photos?
so
Like, what were
fixated
you
on the
actually-
thongs. We're on a beach.
Did you really wear thongs on your wedding day?
I didn't wear
I
thongs.
might
I know.
cry.
Brings
I
a
might
tear to
cry.
your eye, Tiff. Brings a tear to your eye. I bawled like a baby.
Did
Of course you
you?
100%. And it is the moment when you first see a bride walking down there, and it's a song that you both connect with as well. It's a really, really emotional point.
If I was to put you on the spot and tell you to name the song that your bride walked down the aisle to.
It was
Party rock anthem, LMFAO.
the Paper Kites. I can't remember the song. It's a beautiful
Is it
song by the
Bloom?
Paper Kites. Bloom. It's Bloom.
Oh,
There it is.
sing it.
Really nice.
Sing
How does
it now.
go?
Oh, I don't put the pressure on that. Now I can't
you can't
perform.
perform.
Oh, my gosh.
13 24 10, get involved in the conversation. Are you a bride? Do you expect your new husband to cry? Or are you a groom and do you feel the pressure to cry?
It's just a really, really
minefield.
precious situation.
Yeah, and also we've got Teddy Swim stickers to give away too.
Yes, best call this morning. Score yourself some Teddy Swims tickets. We'll take your calls next. 13 24 10. Please get involved.
Jody and Hazy's Sealed Section with Tiff Warren from 10 News First.
There she is. And she's brought something very, very close to her heart this morning.
So close.
So you
It
just
is.
go for it. You just watch your sister get married and
You know my sister, yeah. She got married. She tied the knot.
Yep.
Oh,
Nice.
oh,
that's
here it
lovely.
is. Oh, it wasn't to this song, but can you imagine if it was?
Yeah.
Oh, oh,
Has anyone actually got married to this song?
No.
Ever?
No.
It's just your generic
No,
wedding
but I
song.
like it.
Yeah.
It's nice. Very royal. But everyone turns when the bride comes up the aisle. It's like, oh, whoa, bride. But then everyone's head whoosh, back to the groom. Whiplash. Everyone's gone to look to see if he's crying.
So that's
to see
the
if
new
he shed a
thing.
tear. Yep.
That's
it
the new
is.
thing. It used to be
is.
all eyes on the bride.
It did,
Now the
but-
groom gets some attention because he's supposed to put on the waterworks.
Yeah, and everyone's staring into him, being like, "You better cry." And thankfully, Sean did.
Yeah. And we
Thankfully.
would, so we're asking the question on 13 24 10. Are you a bride? Do you expect your man to cry?
Yeah.
Are you a groom? Do you feel pressure to cry? We spoke a little bit before about what song that your beautiful wife walked down the aisle to as you were sobbing like a baby, and you found it there.
It's in the system, the Paper Kites Bloom acoustic version of this.
Can I take it to a moment
Oh, this actually
I love this.
does make me feel feelings.
I feel emotional.
Very nice. Jodes, you walk down to this.
Start to my toes makes the
Oh, there she goes. She's wearing thongs.
So I can actually cry right now hearing that.
Do you know what will really make you cry, Jodes?
What's
Your
that?
husband, Greggy, texted me
Oh, no.
after we discussed it whether he cried. And he said, cried when I realised what I'd done. Greggy. Buddy.
All right, we're taking calls 13 24 10. Now let's go to Shane in Noarlunga Downs. Shane, take us through it. Did you cry? Did you feel pressure to cry?
There's no pressure, mate. When you're in the moment, mate, it's all, you just play on your emotions, mate, and just let it go, mate. Gone are the days of being big, strong men, mate. We can express our emotions as well. That's fine.
Spot on, well done. Well said, Shane.
That's
Well
lovely,
said.
Shane.
Shane, did you use the word mate in your speech too at the reception? I'm tipping you did.
Yeah, I reckon I did, mate. Yeah. my wife said, my bladder's too close to my eyeballs. That's what got me in trouble.
Just weighing out my face.
Oh, we've all been there.
Oh, dear.
Very
Okay,
nice.
let's go to Sahela in Highbury. Did I say that right, Sahela?
You did, yes.
Thank you. Okay, so do grooms have to cry? What's the go?
I feel that they do. I would hate if my boyfriend didn't cry when I'm walking down the aisle. I'm like, he doesn't love me. He hates me.
Does he know this, Sahela? Does he know
I
that?
have had the conversation with him. I've said to him, I really hope that you're going to cry when I walk down the aisle. So we've had the conversation before.
It's a lot of pressure to put on him, isn't it?
That is tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, let's take more calls. 13 24 10. Ladies, are you a bride and do you expect him to cry, or grooms, do you feel the pressure to shed a tear or two? It's a beautiful, beautiful moment, but when there's pressure to do something like that, sometimes it's the last thing that your body wants to do.
Yeah.
Jody and Hazy's sealed section with Tiff Warren from 10 News First.
There she is. Tiff Warren from 10 News First, who recently attended her sister's wedding.
That's me.
Yeah, and tell us what happened.
Well, everyone, yes, it's about you, Sam, sis. Mind you, everyone wants to see if the groom is crying.
Yeah.
It's a thing in this day and age. Everyone wants to know, is the groom shedding a tear?
It comes off the back of viral social media videos,
For
doesn't
sure.
it?
I reckon
Where
for
they're
sure.
just on the and the particular moment where the groom, there's one famous one where he turns around and just absolutely almost falls over.
Yeah.
Do you know the one?
I do know the one.
Seems like it's almost fake.
But now
it's
everyone
not.
wants that or
Yeah.
expects it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it means your groom hates you.
And then if it doesn't happen, then all the women at the reception are all bitchily going, oh, well, he didn't cry, did
Yeah,
he?
he didn't cry for
it doesn't
Shania.
really- doesn't
Shania.
Shania.
Yeah, in this example.
Doesn't
Yeah.
like
really
that
love
name.
her enough.
Crazy.
All right, let's go to Erin from Enfield. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Okay, what happened with your groom?
Well, mine didn't cry, and now we're divorced.
Oh, jeez. So in the moment, and I'm guessing that wasn't the reason, but in the moment you're like, well, I should have seen this coming.
Red flag.
Absolutely. But no, it's good. We're best friends now. That's
Oh, that's good, Erin.
fine. But yeah, so it didn't work out romantically for us, but
Erin, can I ask you a question about that? Have you spoken about it since? And did he know at the time that maybe it wasn't quite right?
no, we haven't. Actually, I think we kind of skirt around all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So
probably best.
It's all it's all good. We're we co-parent. We get along like a house on fire. It just
Yeah.
wasn't our thing.
Wasn't meant to be.
That's fine.
Madison from Anglevale. Good morning, Madison. Hello.
How are you?
Good. What are your thoughts on this?
So I'm getting married this year, and if he doesn't cry, I'll have to walk back down the aisle and start it all over again.
So you go up, check for a dampness test on his face. You go, that's it. Time for lap two.
Play that same song.
Thanks, Madison. Good luck with your wedding. Joe from Seaton. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You sound like a groom. Did you cry?
I'm a groom. I was a groom 32 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a very emotional day. And I think talking about being emotional, right, with your partner on the day, that sounds a bit, I don't know, rehearsed. It should be just based on the moment and everything.
sure.
So, man, of course I shed a tear. I married the love of my life.
Do you know what, Joe? Like, and that was 32 years ago. It was definitely like So anyway, we just lost Joe there for a second.
Did have to lose Joe because Joe said something. Joe said something he definitely should.
Very passionate.
Sometimes, like on your wedding days, where you're caught up in the moment.
Yeah, the emotions are flowing.
The emotions are flowing.
Joe
all
got
of
very
a sudden.
emotional.
This will certainly be a real test of the temporary technology we have in the boardroom right now.
Yeah, 100%. Use some dodgy sort of adjectives. That's fine. Teddy Swims tickets up for grabs. He's performing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. It's a really, really beautiful moment of your life.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan on crying.
No.
But I thought that I might. But everything's there. Your friends are there. I think when you see your families as well, and then when you see your wife's family and your family and their proudest punch, just invite
I could cry just thinking about it.
an emotion overload. Could we take one more call?
Yes.
13 24 10. Give us a call.
Jody and Hazy's Sealed Section with Tiff Warren from 10 News First.
There she is, the always lovely Tiff from 10 News First. Tiff recently went to her sister's wedding, and we're talking about this morning on 13 24 10 the pressure that comes with the groom having to cry. I think it comes from social media and viral clips.
I think
There is
so.
a bit of that, isn't
Everything's
it?
getting filmed these days as a videographer and the like.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to see the groom shed a tear because it makes for a nice video.
And then if they don't shed a tear, all the Karens at the reception are like, clearly doesn't love her very much.
He doesn't care at all. Look at him.
Look at him.
Oh,
Insensitive fool.
dry face McGee over there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a pig.
13 24 10, we are taking your calls. Nadia from Highbury, good morning. Your thoughts, should a groom cry?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think there should be any pressure on a groom to cry. I think what Shane said earlier was absolutely beautiful. In the moment, if a male cries, let them cry. I think I got married 30 years ago, and it was one of those things that I guess wasn't done where the grooms, have to hold back.
Yeah.
My groom didn't cry. I cried and my dad cried. Later got divorced, so maybe that was a sign. But I think that, there definitely shouldn't be pressure on a male to cry. I think it's about the feelings, the vows, the way that the male treats the bride.
Preach, sister.
Not
Preach.
only on the day, but absolutely after as well.
Yeah.
So
So
true.
those
Yeah.
Karens,
Yes.
those Karens should really look at their own lives, I guess.
So true.
Yeah, I don't think there's any pressure on a guy to cry. It's beautiful if they do, but I think it needs to be natural, not forced.
Very
good
true.
call there,
Thank you,
Nadia.
So
Nadia.
true, Nadia.
And also, really good call to make Karen self-reflect. About a lot of things.
100%. Some great calls coming through this morning. Someone who's going to win these Teddy Swims tickets at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre.
Let's put it back on Tiff.
It's going to be drum roll, please.
Here we go. No.
You've got a real one.
You can get yourself a drum roll. Here we go.
The winner is Erin from Enfield.
Well done, Erin.
Congratulations, Erin.
Erin's groom didn't cry, and now they are divorced. And so for that reason, she can have some tickets.
I need to know. I need to know now.
I need to know.
I need to know.
What's in the news today?
I need to know this.
Here's what you need to know. What you need to know with Jody and Hazy.
Sometimes stories pop up in your feed that really, really tickle your soul, and particularly when it's close to home, and that is through a South Australian abroad doing extremely well, and that is Joe Ingles. So if you're an NBA fan and you were checking the stats, you might have looked at Minnesota Timberwolves in their recent game and thought, well, Joe's starting. He hasn't done that for a long time. In fact, he hasn't started a game for 3 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it was revealed that shortly before the game that Timberwolves coach Chris Finch was going to give Joe Ingles a start. And you know why? The reasons are just so very wholesome.
Yeah.
So Joe's oldest son, Jacob, struggles with autism. He has sensory overload. And so I think the story goes that he has been living with his mum, but I don't think they've been living near Dad. So
No, they haven't, because they were living in Orlando. So that was a team that Joe was playing for recently before Minnesota.
Yep.
They've stayed in Orlando, and he's now obviously residing and travelling with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah. And so they decided to give him a start just so that Jacob could see his dad take the court.
Yeah, and the big thing as well is it's a big deal in terms of announcing the starters.
Yes.
Particularly at a home game.
Yeah.
So that's going to be so cool
Yeah.
for Jacob to see Joe Ingles running through a bit of a tunnel and all the lights and everything happening. Really, really cool.
And the look on his little face too was just something to behold. It had people in tears all over America.
Oh, geez. It had everyone in tears who saw it on social media. This was Joe Ingles post-game.
There's been so many times with my wife that is laying on the floor in public and you can feel people staring at you. You know they're judging you. They know they're making comments about it. But they have no idea what he's gone through that day or the night before or the situation. Ever since he got diagnosed, it's been what we've tried to do with the awareness of it's real. It doesn't matter who you are or your lifestyle, your money, whatever.
So one, a really important message from Joe.
Yeah.
And two, just a really, really nice, wholesome moment for Ingles and everybody else in that same situation who was taking care of kids with autism.
Yeah, absolutely. What a beautiful message for them.
Yeah.
Something gorgeous and wholesome to something completely and utterly the opposite and a complete embarrassment for the NBA fraternity was they had the final game basically of the playoff series yesterday between the Illawarra Hawks and Melbourne United. So it was in Illawarra. The Illawarra crowd was so disrespectful, I think, to Melbourne United, who's not everyone's favourite team. They're not everyone's cup of tea. There's a couple of real characters. But during the game, there was a chant that went up around the stadium calling Chris Goulding something that rhymes. Chris Goulding's a banker, let's say.
Banker?
A banker.
No, he's not. He's a basketballer.
Yeah, I know. But
it's his job.
You know what I mean.
Well, can I just say?
Yep.
You hate on Chris Goulding.
I do. I actually really do. I don't like Chris Goulding. I don't like him as a player.
But we always joke, that's because he's so bloody good.
He is bloody good. But I just think Illawarra won the game. They win the championship. And then when they awarded the MVP, it went to Matthew Dellavedova, who played for the losing team, plays for Melbourne United. Absolute gun of a player, has played in the NBA. And this was how Matthew Dellavedova was met by the crowd. So he subsequently, and you will hear it here, got off stage, took his MVP award, and then handed that trophy to Will Hickey, who's the Hawks player who everyone thought should have won it because he played so well in the finals. Have a listen.
Hold on. Davo, this really belongs to you. You had a hell of a series. Davo, this is yours.
Seriously, what a classy act from Matthew Dellavedova.
He's standing on stage getting booed and he decided to hand over that award. The NBL have since come out and said, nah, sorry, Matthew Dellavedova, you won the award. You have to keep it. Mate. This is not your decision to hand it to Will Hickey. So, but the reaction has been pretty overwhelming online. People saying that was an embarrassment from the NBL to firstly put him in that position where they awarded it to him, and secondly, the crowd also an absolute disgrace yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. A lot to take out from that. Jodes, let's really, really straighten up for a second and talk about something which is really, really gripping the nation, and that's anxiety.
Yeah.
It's reading a lot more about anxiety in the news today than ever before, and I feel like people are more and more aware of what it is, and more people now, more than ever, are affected by anxiety.
Yeah, hats off to the Tizer at the moment, actually, who are doing an awful lot in this space because they're very aware that this is a bit of an epidemic at the moment, especially amongst young people and especially post-COVID because people are feeling stressed and isolated.
See, that's outrageous, isn't it? And what we're seeing as well, some of the statistics, Gen Z is more anxious than all of the other generations. They're lonelier and poorer than the other generations. Like you mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic absolutely threw everyone's minds into disarray. Pressure to perform and comparisons to friends and celebrities on social media is causing anxiety to ridiculous levels.
This is terrifying because we're raising a generation of kids who are addicted to their phones. Most kids have a phone in their hands, and we're not going to see the impact of that until these young kids become adults. And I'm actually terrified for these kids and the impact that social media and this mobile phone addiction is going to have on them later in life.
So I'm very intrigued by the relationship that our brains have when it comes to siphoning through things that are positive and negative. It's mind-blowing. I've got a couple of stats here for you.
Okay.
And this is all obviously related to what we call mental health, depression and anxiety. Here's one for you that probably will blow your mind. You're 7 times more likely to notice something negative than you are one thing positive. And we've spoken about this before, whether it's a comment, a negative comment or something. You siphon through the good stuff, you go, yeah, and then you find the negative stuff and you harp on that. A study has also explained it takes 5 to 7 positive interactions to counteract just one negative interaction. That's from a bloke called John Gottman, who's a famous psychologist. So you need so much good to get rid of just the one bad.
Wow.
Why are brains like this?
It's fight or flight. I think it goes back to cavemen. So we're wired to hold on to the negative stuff. So if you see a tiger, right, your brain will go, you've seen a tiger, and that has to stick because it's a survival mechanism. So I think it's a hangover from the caveman times. Thanks, guys. Thanks, cavemen.
Yeah, good on you guys. Appreciate that. Want to get you involved this morning. 13 24 10. Can we openly talk about anxiety and the way that it affects us? I want to share with you my relationship with anxiety. And it's not, I wouldn't call it healthy.
No.
But I've come to a point in my life right now where I understand a bit more and I also understand the dangers of it. But yeah, it's certainly been an interesting battle across the journey, probably learning more and more what it is.
Well, knowing you quite well, you are one of these people that will go down the rabbit hole if you hear something negative, and that can tend to make you spiral. So I'm really curious to find out what's going on in that beautiful big brain of yours, Andrew Hayes.
Why'd you say that? Have you heard something? I will share with you next. And like I said, 13 24 10, we'd love to get you involved this morning because I think it's something that we should be talking about more and more. We're opening up this space to talk about something which is affecting, unbelievably, 1 in 6 Australians, and that is anxiety. And it's something that I have, I've dealt with it for a long, long time, particularly in my working professional life.
Yeah.
And I reckon at the start, I just didn't really know what it was.
Yep.
So the more and more you learn, the more that you learn that it's something that's very, very common. It's something that you can deal with, but I still have issues with it right now.
Okay, so what does it look like for you then, anxiety?
So my big one is worrying about things you can't control. So, it's easier said than done, and that is to say, look, don't worry about it because you can't control, but it's impossible for me. So I'm that bloke who sits there late at night thinking about cooking up theories, cooking up things that could go wrong in my life. And here's another stat for you as well, by the way, which I think this came out last year. It was absolutely mind-blowing. It took the world by storm, and that is 85% of the things that we worry about don't actually happen.
Yeah.
So when I heard that stat, Jodes, I thought, well, 15% chance it does, though. Well, I don't know if I like those odds. For me, do you know what it's ruined? Like this sort of stuff, it's ruined a lot of good things that have happened in my life because all of the good things that I've done throughout the whole time while it was happening, I was thinking what could go wrong. And I was thinking about absolutely the negative thing that could come from that. And then you look back at it and go, oh, gosh, I wish I just sat there and enjoyed the moment. Because kids growing up, they're only going to be this age. One, it's such a beautiful age. They're toddlers into junior primary school, etc. And I'm worried about work. I'm worried about all these things that I can't control. And I know that I will look back and go, God, I wish I just lived in the moment.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done because I can't turn it off.
So can I ask, when did you realise that this just wasn't like general worry, that this anxiety was an actual problem?
I think I understood more when I was given some information that it's not normal. It's not normal to so many nights a week sit there throughout the night worrying about stuff, particularly that you can't control. The other thing as well is the physical symptoms, which you probably don't notice until you get older in life, and they can potentially affect you. But one for me is I get spots of alopecia.
Yeah.
So when I'm really, really stressed, the worst I've had is I have like 3 sort of spots, and they're sort of 20-cent pieces. That's how big they get. I've got one right now, so it's on the side of my head.
Yeah.
And that is purely, like I've seen a specialist about that, and that is purely stress related.
Yeah, right.
So and it's delayed as well. So if I'm stressed really badly for a good couple of weeks, that'll come out in maybe in a month or so. So yeah, sometimes I can convince myself that everything's good and everything's fine. I'm not stressed, but then all of a sudden I've got these patches in my head. You're like, well, the physical signs are there. So,
I mean, have you spoken to anyone? Have you tried to get to the root cause of the issue?
Not professionally, but I think that's definitely something worth exploring because there could be. What we keep on discovering is there's sometimes a deep root problem.
Yeah, we all have childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So
whether it's childhood trauma or it's the way that you build or it's
adult trauma.
Yeah, or adult trauma. So yeah, I'd be absolutely open to seeing a specialist because, like you mentioned, it's not a good way to live.
Yeah.
You're stressing about what can go wrong instead of enjoying the good things.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I've never met anyone who's gone to a counsellor or a psychologist and regretted it.
Produce Molly?
The scariest thing sometimes is actually realising that you might need to talk to someone or, hey, I might need some help. So I think for anyone listening or for you, Hayesy, just having this conversation right now and going, hey, this isn't quite right. The scary part's already done now. Like, that's the most vulnerable you can be, is realising within yourself, hey, something's got to change here, and be, all right, now how do I go about that? From here, it only gets so much easier. So just thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, I think the best thing about 2025 right now is that, particularly for blokes, it does feel like it's a safer space now. There's less judgment. There's no, like, the whole man up thing or grow some balls kind of thing. That I don't think that really exists anymore, which is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
But blokes can be vulnerable now. Do you feel that? Like, and particularly, like, and my wife wants me to talk more and more, because what happens is I'll say nothing, and then all of a sudden it's unload for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So,
and also what you're doing for young kids now, because you mentioned, the version of being a man, what's being sold online about what it is to be a man at the moment is so toxic, and anyone who's watching adolescents at the minute will understand that this is a real issue for young boys as well. So thank you for speaking up. I think it's really important.
13 24 10 would love to hear from you. One, do you suffer from anxiety? How do you deal with it? And can we just openly talk about this in this space?
Anxiety, we're having the discussion. Online dating, overuse of social media, working from home, cost of living pressures, it can all contribute to you feeling anxious, and we would love to hear from you this morning on 13 24 10.
Jodie and Hayesy, Adelaide's favourite way to wake up. Only on Nova 919.
Top of 29 degrees across Adelaide today. It is Jodie and Hayesy, and we've pivoted in a bit more of a serious direction, Jodes. We are talking about anxiety, and in particular, I've shared with you my relationship with anxiety, which is, like, to put it bluntly, it's unhealthy.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of your anxiety at the moment. We're doing this breakfast show that we love. You and I love working together. We love talking to the people of Adelaide. It is what you have worked the better part of a decade for.
So just to jump on that, it was literally my dream to work not just Breakfast Radio but Nova. I started at Nova, and then you sort of readjust yourselves because you go to different markets and you think, oh, just maybe the dream's just to do Breakfast Radio. But as it turned out, it's here. So
So you're You should be enjoying it. And the amount of times I've had to say to you, can you just relax and be in the moment? Because in your mind, you'll go down the rabbit hole and think, oh, it's all going to end tomorrow. Yeah. It will all end tomorrow. It's not going to. It's going really well.
Strange
FYI.
for it to end on a Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah. It would be weird.
Let us see out the week, please. But that's quite seriously, that's how my brain's built. And it's an issue with me because all the good things that I've done in my life, I haven't been able to enjoy.
No.
Because I've been sitting up and cooking up situations where what's the most negative thing could happen?
Mate.
It hasn't happened. And that's the statistic. 85% of the things we worry about don't happen. But anxiety is, it's a tricky one. And your brain is so powerful.
We sit here, you idiot, for 3 hours every morning and we laugh at each other. We genuinely make each other laugh. Like, just enjoy it, can you? Please.
Yes.
We are talking anxiety this morning on 13 24 10. Thank you so much for all the calls that we've been inundated with. Let's go to Wade from Allenby Gardens. Good morning, Wade.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Did that hit a nerve? That chat?
Yeah, it certainly did. I've suffered anxiety sort of for the best part of my life. I only realised, I guess I had it sort of diagnosed about 2.5 years ago. My life sort of came to a head. I had a breakup, and then my mum passed away shortly after, and everything sort of spiraled, and it exacerbated what I was dealing with. But when I went and saw a psychologist for a while, and what came out of that was that I'd actually been suffering since I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, put into situations where I was expected to talk to these people that were inverted commas family, but I didn't know them because I'd grown up in a different state. Now, even now I still do suffer a little bit, but I manage it a lot better. I sometimes have anxiety attacks at work, and I find myself controlling things that I can control, like I clean up my till, I turn all the notes around the same way, and it just diverts my brain away from the things that, like as Hayesy was saying, the things that I can't control. But yeah, it's very weird. The weirdest part about it was that when I was in the depths of suffering from it, I would find that I would make plans with people, and then last minute I would just cancel. I couldn't deal. But then once I sort of started kind of getting a better handle on it with the psychologist, and I saw this wonderful woman. I don't know if I can say her name at all.
I definitely do.
Susan Lister. she's a holistic counsellor, and I saw her for quite a time after the psychologist. And once I sort of started getting a handle on it, I found that being out with people that, friends and stuff, actually helped. Even though I couldn't get myself to that point at one stage, once I could, I found it was actually helpful because there's that sort of interaction and that connection with people.
Yeah, it's well said, first of all, Wade. But you know what? It's funny because what I took from that as well is that if you've been suffering this from such a young age, you said sort of 7 or 8, I sort of feel like we grew up and we were told, and we are, that we're in the lucky country. So no one has the right to be worried about anything because we grew up in Australia. And I'm not saying that, we should be upset because that is true to a degree, but also you can't sort of pick and choose some of these things, particularly when it comes to mental health. So just dismissing it and saying, well, you don't have the right to be upset about anything, it's not going to fix anything.
No, absolutely. And what does fix things is going to speak to someone about it, as Wade just said then.
100%. And other services available, Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Headspace, they're all excellent organisations.
Yeah.
Can we take some more calls?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is really, particularly for someone like Wade, congratulations to him for talking up as a bloke.
Yep.
Blokes do not speak well and enough as women do. It's as simple as that. If you want to get involved with this, please give us a call, 13 24 10. We're talking about anxiety and how it affects you. And we are taking a bit of a more serious route this morning. We're talking about anxiety, Jodes, because it's something which is, it's everywhere across this country. More and more, we're seeing some alarming statistics, particularly involving Gen Zers.
Yeah.
But it's something as well that we feel like we're heading in the right direction with when it comes to communication and things like that, particularly with blokes. We've spoken about it for about 25 minutes. So, and if you have been listening and it strikes a chord for you in any sort of space, there's services available. We're talking Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Headspace, but more importantly, just for it to spark a conversation, because that's the first step. Particularly as a bloke, we don't communicate as well as women. That's very, very simple stuff. To start a conversation for blokes, that's really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are taking your calls this morning on 13 24 10. Let's go to Amber from Huntfield Heights. Amber, you're a little anxious bunny, are you?
Not me necessarily. My husband suffered from it pretty badly a few years ago, which was quite scary. I've suffered from depression, so I knew that it wasn't the end of the world in the sense that it would pass. And we got him some help, and he's doing much better now.
Yeah.
But I've gone on a bit of an interesting journey myself. I'm currently studying to be an EFT practitioner.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard of EFT.
I have,
tapping.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is brilliant for anxiety because it brings you out of the fight and flight and puts you straight into, you regulate your nervous system just by simply tapping on the acupressure points on your body. You can say things as you do it, like actual negative things, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but it works. Or you can just tap on if you're really stressed. Just tap on the certain points and it will just bring you back to regulation. And I've done some taps on people and brought them back from some pretty crazy anxiety stresses in their life, and they just see the other side of it. Like the good in it. Like you'll be about your job, Hayesy, you'll be like, all these things that could go wrong, and then you're like, but hey, actually, it's good.
Yeah.
There is good in it.
And that's the dream, to look at situations and find the positive instead of our brains naturally trying to scan things for negative and concentrate on that.
And it can be done very fast. Like within an hour, you could be positive about your job permanently.
Amber, could you spend some time with my good friend Andrew?
I certainly could. I am training. I need 50 free clients. So
there you go.
Fantastic call from Amber.
Thanks,
so
Amber.
EFT as well, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques.
Yeah, so
it's something that's foreign to me.
Well,
but certainly learning in this space.
Do you get that
I feel like
panicky-
something's very, very useful.
do you get that panicky sort of fight or flight response? Do you get that ever?
Yes, Jodes.
Okay, mate.
Yes.
I'm just asking.
Good to acknowledge it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Colin from Happy Valley. Good morning, Colin.
Good morning, Andrew. Jody, how you going?
Hello, we're very well, thank you. What's been your experience with anxiety and depression?
I had both of those, and it was essentially from abusive childhood, emotionally and physically.
Yep.
But I also suffer from delayed intelligence, so only on reflection can I say that physical involvement in martial arts really quelled both depression and anxiety for a good term, and got me through it in quite a constructive way.
Yep.
And when I could no longer be highly physically involved, I went on to personal development and embarked on acquiring 6 diplomas. So while my mind was busy in the study and that, again, it put the anxiety and depression to the background.
Yeah, that's great.
But I've also consulted with psychiatrists and psychologists. None of the cocktails of medication seem to work, and I've had two electroconvulsive therapy programs.
Colin, whoa.
One of those, the bilateral ones, seemed to be effective in diminishing the depression. I still see a psychologist on a regular basis and find that both mindfulness and ACT, or acceptance commitment therapy, are very beneficial.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank
there's
you,
some
Colin.
outstanding. Thank you so much for sharing that, Colin, because there's just so many different methods.
Yeah.
To try and deal
You
with
just
this
got to
sort of
find the
stuff.
one that's right for you
Yeah,
as well,
100%.
that works for you. Also, I cannot stress this enough, communicate. You have to talk about this stuff. That's the only way it's going to get better. So Lifeline 13 11 14 is the number there. Beyond Blue, amazing things at your disposal there, and Headspace as well. Thank you so much to everyone who opened up. And it's not easy to be open and honest and on the radio. So
100%. So we can take some more calls next, 13 24 10. We're talking all things anxiety, how you deal with it, and the effects that it has on you.
I need to know. I need to know now.
I need to know. I need to know.
I need to know.
What's in the news today?
I need to know this.
Here's what you need to know. What you need to know with Jody and Hazy.
Pitch invaders.
why? Well, I get
It's not worth it anymore.
I get that people go and have a skinful and think it's a good idea for whatever reason, but for goodness sake,
It's just not.
you're going to get yourself banned for 3 years, which is what this bloke did when he ran across Adelaide Oval, not once, but twice. So he only captured the attention of security on his second run too. So he went at half time during the Auskick Kids, and then he went again and got hip and shouldered pretty fiercely, you have to say.
Yeah, he did. He sort of fell into it, the security guard, in the way. So it was just a beautiful collision. But that's what you kind of expect. And that's what's happening now when you see a pitch invader. You're like, oh, someone nail him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling.
Well, that's what I feel like. That's how it should end for these blokes.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
Was last year, remember when Keysy got that guy?
Oh,
Ben Keys took out that bloke?
And my favourite one of all time was Andrew Simons when that guy ran onto, was it the Gabba?
Yeah, well, he set the tone. So the great Andrew Simons set the tone back in the day. There'll never be another on-field hip and shoulder moment between an athlete and a spectator like that ever again.
It was, and I wonder what do they tell the players, Hazy? Like if there's a pitch invader, do they tell the players to leave, to stay out of it? Because I guess if you feel like your teammates under threat, you're going to go them.
Yeah. Look, I'm saying, I might get the words wrong here, so I'll probably do some research after we go to air. Never a good idea. Was it Bruce Reid or someone back in the day? One of the international cricketers, I'm sure it was Bruce Reid, tried to tackle a pitch invader and dislocated his shoulder.
Oh, maybe.
So that is the worst possible scenario.
I mean, you're telling this potentially non-factual story, so I'm just going to let you tell it.
How good's fact-checking after you've been on air?
So good.
That works, doesn't it? Oh, pitch invaders. It's not going to work anymore. Just stop doing it. And also, during an Auskick game?
I know.
Come on.
What's the point? Hey, what's the fine, Producer Molly? Do you know the fine for running onto Adelaide Oval?
I think it's hefty.
Yeah.
Could be a couple of grand.
Well, it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You do it again, though. I'd be more than comfortable if you got a life ban straight away.
Yeah.
3 ban's pretty lenient, I think.
Oh, 3 years is so lenient. I reckon you never come back to the football again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. Any pitch invaders listening this morning, sorry to burst your bubble. That's what you're waking up to this morning.
And if you are thinking about it, it's not a good idea. It is simply not a good idea.
Spot on.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Glenelg or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.